I hope you're having an amazing day. My name is Colin, and in this video we will answer the question why Launchpad tokens devalue in a bear market. So if you are a Launchpad fanatic like me, during the last 5 months when the crypto market has been bearish, Launchpad tokens have continued to lose value. In this video, the complete answer why, and it all starts with the Bitcoin graph. A lesson today in basic economics. So the bear market basically started, or the bearish pattern started in November 2021. We then moved down, but the principle I'm going to tell you today applies in every single bearish trend. So this is the example. Whenever we have a bearish trend from the past or the future, this would also apply. So when Bitcoin devaluates, there are a lot of things that reflect in the crypto market. One of these things is the Launchpad tokens. As you can see, the last 7 days up to minus 45%. Maybe it gets even worse. 46% on the CyberFi token. Right? When we filter it on market cap to have a little bit of a better representation, I can open the top 5 Launchpads in the scene at the moment according to market cap, and we can have a look about their devaluation across the last year. All-time high being $6. Right now, Dowmaker, the biggest launchpad out there, $1.42. Polka starter going from $4.24 to 43 cents. CDeFi fund going from basically a very high $16 to $1. TrustFi going from $4, which was even like earlier last year. In the bull run, it was only, let me see, $2 to 20 cents, right? So basically, all of them were basically divided by 10 so far. I was looking at the 1 year chart. And then this one going from like 60 cents to 1 cent. Very, very crazy diminishes. Why has this occurred and what is happening? The answer lies in basic economics of supply and demand. I'm going to today work this graph together with you. I'm going to highlight some things and I will give some additional explanation. But of course, to understand everything completely, we have to understand basic economics. And when I say basic, don't feel offended if you don't understand, because this is quite a complex one. However, if you are able to understand this, you can basically analyze any basic crypto pattern. Supply and demand, two very important things, based on the quantity and the price of certain things, right? At some point, there will be a shortage. How does that work? At some point, there will be a surplus of goods. How does that work? Well, we all want to pay a specific price for a little something, right? If I would offer you 1 Bitcoin right now for $10, right? Of course, I assume everybody would take it because the nominal value right now is $21,000, right? Very easy. If I would offer it to you for $10,000, where the value is $21,000, we all understand this is also a really good deal. So the price is in this case low, right? The relative price is low. So what happens with a low price, the specific demand will be high, right? So when the demand is high, the supply will be relatively limited, because if you want to buy 1 Bitcoin for 10,000, a lot of people don't want to sell for that price because they feel it's worth more, right? So high demand usually means low supply, and that means the price moves up to meet a certain point, and that point is right here. So I'm going to circle it twice. This is the point, the X right in the middle, where the demand line meets the supply line, which basically means that at this moment everybody's happy, right? You have the perfect price that you want to pay, and there's enough in quantity for everybody that wants to buy to actually buy. If that doesn't happen, so basically the price, right? The price, when the price moves up like this, price moves up. So this is the cheapest level, more expensive, most expensive. there is obviously a very high supply here, right? High supply, biggest quantity. No, in this case, it's the smallest quantity. And then the demand here will be on this line, basically moving down here, will be little, right? Yeah, that's it. So there will be, for a high price, there will be a large supply and there will be a very little demand, right? Because this is basically how this would work. So this is the smallest demand and this is the biggest demand, right? In this case, obviously, there's a lot of leftover goods that nobody wants to buy, which is unfortunate, right? Because now we have a lot of these things that nobody wants to buy because they feel like it's too expensive, which means the price has to come down. If the price comes down, right, less people are willing to sell, people are willing to buy more. But let's say the price is really low. Nobody wants to sell, but a lot of people want to buy, right? This is very important to understand, not to get this graph wrong, because as you noticed, it is not as easy to read. There are multiple points that are important. The highest supply, the highest demand, the lowest supply, and the lowest demand. It's basically a X graph on the bigger end. The most important point, as I will recall, is the middle, which is the equilibrium, the point where supply and demand meets. A very, very important economic term, because this is the point where you want to be, and in a true free-floating economy where you will never actually be, because there will always be people trying to supply more when the price is right, moving the price down, up, down, and that's basically how it goes. So when we would look at the Bitcoin price, there is less demand than there is supply, which means price moves down. If there's more demand than there is supply, price moves up. Very, very simple economic patterns. So basically the price relative to the quantity is the most important thing. Quantity means nothing without the price, and the price means nothing without the quantity. These two are interlinked, and that's why we have two axes, first and foremost, and then we have two lines sketching the supply and demand, right? But equilibrium as highlighted. Why is this so relevant and so important to understand when it comes to launchpads? Let me explain you. There are several important mechanisms that launchpads use, right? So what is the main purpose of a launchpad? Which means launch projects, right? That is the main purpose of a launchpad. You are going to join a launchpad because you want to participate in their IDO rounds, right? How do you participate in most launchpads? You need to buy their token, right? Which is a very important one. And once we have purchased the token, we usually need to stake it. Also a very important one, right? So there's 3 steps. We're going to join launchpads to participate in launches, right, of new projects with the investment opportunity that is present. We are going to buy their tokens and then stake them in order to be eligible to participate in these said launches. When these tokens are staked, we have a full flowing circle, right? What happens for the launchpad? Every time they do a launch, the launchpad makes some money. So let's say they make 10K per launch, right? If they raise $100,000, then they take a 10% fee and they make $10,000. Quite simple. In this case, what would happen if the market is bearish, right? If the market has a bearish sentiment, as we can see, money is flowing out of the market. People are liquidating their crypto assets to get any other relative normal currency, which would be US dollars, euros, yen, whatever it is you're pulling out of the market. You can see this by the relative market cap of crypto going below $1 trillion, right? Where in the bull market, I believe it reached as high as 2.6 trillion. So definitely a lot of value have left the market. This is not gone. This has been exited out of the cryptocurrency market as a whole. Perhaps put in other assets or whatever. It's not super relevant right now. However, what is relevant is because there is less money in the market, people are more suspicious on what they invest. They are more fearful. A good indicator of this is the fear and greed index. When the fear and greed index points towards greed, people are very reluctant, very willingly to invest in everything. When the fear and greed index points to fear, people are more hesitant to invest. They take a closer look, they make stronger, relevant decisions, right? And we could see last year in August, October, there was a lot of greed. And then when the market became bearish, the greed basically diminished. And for the last 3 months, we only have had extreme fear. So in the extreme fear situation, people are less likely to invest. And when I say less likely, on a scale from 1 to 100, we are now at 7, which means that almost nobody is willing to invest. What happens with these launches? Projects do not launch. If the projects don't launch, why would you as a user buy and stake the token if there's no projects to invest in? Even if there would be a project to invest in, will the performance of this launch be good compared to a bull market when there's more money in the market? No. There is less money in the market, there is less demand, so the price moves down. Also, the demand moves down. So what happens is more people are willing to get rid of their tokens, but the demand basically has been reduced. So what happens with the price? It moves down, right? According to the axis, it moves down. In this case, you have an oversupply of the tokens. People that have purchased the tokens before, right? Let's take an example for DAOmaker. People that have purchased the token before, so let's say you purchased the token right here, now are feeling fearful. So they say that, oh, DAOmaker is not launching that many projects anymore, right? Let's get rid of DAOmaker because I don't want to invest anyway. They unstake their tokens and they sell their tokens. What happens is the Launchpad token loses value. There is, in this case, more supply than there is demand, which means again price moves down. So that's the second line, that price moves down. All right, people have left the Launchpad. They are no longer active participants, which means that the Launchpad is going to do some pools. Let's say 1 project a month. In this case, now it has less active participants. If you have a $100,000 pool, with, let's say, 10,000 participants, right? Every investor is allowed to invest $10, right? But right now, that 0 gets removed. 90% of the users have left your Launchpad, which means that now you need to divide $100,000 over 1,000 people, which means everybody is allowed to invest $100. But again, people are fearful, they don't want to invest. So 90% of the people will not fill this actual allocation, which means that your $100,000 raise will not fill. You might only fill 10%, which is a signal to the projects that raise on the Launchpad that raising money in the bear market is not easy because people are hesitant to invest money. The problem, the Launchpad gets a bad reputation. They cannot fill projects, which means more users unstake their token and sell their token. Again, increasing the supply, reducing the demand, price goes down. But also, on the other hand, the project obviously goes to a Launchpad in order to fill the public round funding. If the funding 1 time, 2 times, 3 times is not completed, the projects will approach different Launchpads, which means that now the Launchpad, if it had 1 pool a month, will now likely have 1 pool in the 3 months, which means there's even less participation on the platform, which means people unstake and dump the token, which means price goes down. Again, there's more supply, there's no demand, price moves down. Already now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 different price markers that make the price move down on a Launchpad during a bearish pattern. This is one of the primary examples why Launchpads are hurt a lot more by a bear market than any other category of tokens currently in the index on CoinMarketCap, right? When you look at how much value they have lost, it's absolutely insane. When we look at the relative market cap, if this was, let's say, $16, right, then the fully diluted market cap would be $1.6 billion on C-Define. Right now it's just 100 million, right? The value of the company has been reduced so significantly, and perhaps a good thing, because this shows the flaws with the Launchpad model and specifically the Launchpad token. When the market becomes bullish, one of the categories that does extremely well is Launchpads, because there's a lot of demand. The launches go extremely well, everybody throws money at everything, and all these arrows are basically reversed directly when there's money flowing in. That's why you can basically see whenever the market is bullish, launchpads gain a lot of value. People FOMO into these projects in order to participate on the launches. Therefore, I believe, looking at the facts on the screen right now, the best thing to do if you want to participate in launchpads is accumulate the tokens during a bearish pattern. Or better so, find a launchpad that doesn't utilize the staking of tokens or the requirements of tokens in order to participate. Those are very rare. I know of one, which I will link in the description down below. Of course, I'm not going to shield my own project right here. What is very important to note is that the supply and demand, basic economic conditions that are continuously changing, have a direct impact on these Launchpad tokens. And not just one of them, all of them, right? All of the crypto coins in general are subject to supply and demand, but specifically it compounds for these Launchpad, because where most just suffer the basic fear and greed index supply and demand, the Launchpads have the staking requirement, have the project performance requirement, and have the overall race. I could make another 4 or 5 minor arrows of other problems that there might be with Launchpads, but let me know. I don't want to make this video too long. If you're interested in that specifically and you enjoyed this video, please let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to have a look. If you want to see a follow-up with more Launchpad problems during a bearish pattern. Also, look out for a video about the opportunities that come forth, because every single problem that is created obviously brings an opportunity with that as well. So if you're looking forward to that, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the updates. This was everything for today. Now you got the answer why Launchpad tokens lose their value during a bearish pattern. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.